Welcome back, everyone. The last few months we've been talking about contributing to the digital forensics community. We've shown how to get access to open source tools and modify their code and try to give that code back to the original authors if that was possible. And we have something a little bit special planned for this month where we actually wanted to run a digital forensics coding competition. And the programs that we've decided to use for this competition are the XLEAPP family of software. One you probably heard of is ALEAPP, the Android triage analyzer. Another one is iLEAPP, an iPhone triage analyzer, and then also WLEAPP, which you may not have heard of, but it's for Windows triage. Our goal for this month is to just make these programs better. Maybe we're developing a parser, maybe we're just making the code more efficient. There's lots of different ways that you can potentially contribute, and everything is fair game. Now, what we actually have planned is cash prizes. So we have cash. We have, sticker packs, we have coupons for courses. The prizes here are amazing. We're going to be running this competition through November and it's open to everyone. So everyone can potentially win up to $100 for first place, $60 for second place, and $40 for third place, not to mention all of the extra prizes that go along with that. So we hope to see your submission. So what this video is about today is how to get started so you can actually make a submission. Especially if you've never used GitHub before, it can be a little bit complicated. First, I'm in the DFIRScience GitHub profile, and you can see that ALEAPP, iLEAPP, and WLEAPP repositories have already been forked into this repository. So you should be cloning or forking all of the repositories from DFIRScience. So here we're going to just click on ALEAPP because I want to contribute a module. Let's say to ALEAPP, I'm going to be developing it more. You have DFIRScience ALEAPP. All you have to do is click fork and then fork it into your user profile. So my individual user profile is J.I. James. I'm going to click on that. Now it's forking into ALEAPP on my repository. So here we have J.I. James /ALEAPP forked from DFIRScience ALEAPP. That's what we want to see because you're using essentially the DFIRScience repository and making a fork off of that, and then you'll contribute your code back to the DFIRScience fork. So now you've copied this into your own personal repository. So now we can click code and then clone your repository down. So this line should be git@github.com and then your username /aleap.git if you did everything correctly. If this is showing up as somebody else's username, you're probably maybe copying down one of my forks or somebody else's fork, but you really need it under your username /aleap. And then that way you know that you have full access to be able to modify the source code. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And then I use git from the command line. So I'm just going to copy the repository directly into my home directory. So I do git clone and then paste in the repository that I own. So here we have git@github.com, J.I. James, that's my username /aleap.git. Okay, that's the one I want. And then you will be asked for your password if you're using certificates. Then we have cloning into ALEAPP. If I do ls, the ALEAPP folder is created. So now I can do cd ALEAPP. I do code because I'm running Microsoft code here. So now we have the code. So all of the code is listed here. We can see the ALEAPP Python code directly just by clicking on aleap.py. You can work on the ALEAPP GUI if you want to. We also have scripts, and then this is really where we get into modifying ALEAPP and modifying ALEAPP GUI. Under artifacts is where we have all of the individual scripts for modules that ALEAPP or iLEAPP or WLEAPP would use. So most people are probably going to be creating their own module, just like one of these scripts. Okay, then by looking at this bash history analysis script, you can get an idea of what maybe your module is going to do. Let's see the call logs. So call log analysis. Here we have basically opening a file, and then it is an SQLite database. So then we have an execute command, which is executing SQLite query with a bunch of case statements. Okay, and then we essentially get all rows from that and then dump them into this data list that we have labeled. And that's all of the call data, for example. So what they did is figure out the structure of this database, extract all of the entries for this SQLite database, and then drop it into a list or an array in Python. Inside the scripts artifacts folder, there's a lot of different scripts that are available for different types of artifacts. I recommend just going through and looking at a couple of them and seeing how they work. Some of this code can probably be copied over directly to a module that you create. The only thing you're going to have to change is, for example, whatever file that you're actually analyzing, what is the structure of that file? So whenever you're analyzing maybe a new, it could be a database or a new image or something that you find in Android, whatever it is, understand its structure, and then get any files with that structure, parse out those files, and then basically dump them into this list, and then return that list or that database, whatever it is. So I really recommend going through scripts, artifacts, and then looking at each of these. Later this month, I will show how to make your own module script, but that will be a little bit later. First, just check this out, and you can probably do quite a bit just by looking at what already exists here. So let's say that I want to change this call log. I will just add a comment here that says, Josh was here. Okay, don't do this. Don't do this. And if you do it, don't submit it to anyone. I'm going to save that just to make a change. So you can see that Microsoft Code detected that there was a change. All right. So I can go ahead and close that. I've made my change to my code. Now I can do git add period and then git commit -m added a comment. And I'm going to say delete later just so I remember. Okay. So now I've added all of the changes to Git. I've commented or committed those changes to Git. And then now I need to push the changes back up to my repository. So git push. Now it's pushed everything back up. I can go back to my repository, jijames/ALEAPP. And if I refresh, this branch is one commit ahead of DFIRScience master. That's what we want to see. Your branch should be ahead of DFIRScience master because I don't have those changes yet. So you uploaded those changes, so now you're ahead of me. So I can see the modification was the green is something I've added. I added an empty line and a comment, Josh was here. Okay, that looks good. I'm still in my repository. If I'm okay with that, if I'm done with all of my changes, then I can click contribute and then open pull request. And what this will say is this branch is one commit ahead of DFIRScience master. That's what you want. Once you've made all of your changes, you've added your module, you've done your testing, everything like that, and you're ready to submit to the competition, then click open pull request, and then you should see able to merge because I'm not going to change anything in that repository the entire time. You can see what your changes were, and all of the changes will be grouped together actually. So you'll see all of those changes here. Just click create pull request, and then here is where you want to say something about your submission, because I will essentially be receiving these and the judges will be looking at these comments. So give us as much information as you possibly can. So let's say I added a comment. So I'll call it DFIRDev, and then you want to give it some sort of descriptive name so we know what this is related to. So we looked at the bash file. So I'll say bash parser update. Okay. Then in the comment, you want to give us as much information as possible. So that should include what this change does. It should include links to test data because we are going to need some sort of data to test with. It doesn't have to be an entire Android dump. It could just be a logical directory structure that we can run ALEAPP against and pull out the information that you're contributing. And then number 3, links to your documentation. So we prefer blogs, but if you don't have a blog, it could be a text file. You could put all of your documentation in these comments. You could make a wiki somewhere. I don't mind where you're documenting things, but make sure that you have some sort of document that says, how your tool works, what the motivation for it was, things like that. So that way we get a better idea of how all of this comes together. Then click create pull request. And then now we have your username wants to merge one commit or however many commits you had into DFIRScience master. That's fine. You can see the comments that you made here, and then that's it. So I'm in the DFIRScience ALEAPP repository again, and you can see that there is one new pull request. So if I click on that, then I can see the DFIRDev bash parser update submitted by jijames 1 minute ago. Okay, so if I click on that, then we're able to see basically all of the changes that were made in this particular request. Okay, so we'll be looking at this code. We'll be downloading your test data, and we'll be running ALEAPP with your test code against your test data. The important thing here is that you submit your code and all of your changes as a pull request to DFIRScience ALEAPP, or if you're doing iLEAPP, an iLEAPP module, do iLEAPP, or if you're doing WLEAPP, WLEAPP. Okay, it's the same process no matter the repository, but make sure you're always submitting it back to DFIRScience. If you submit it back to the original repository, we will not count it as a competition submission. Make sure you're submitting it as a pull request to DFIRScience. So that should help you with forking the code from DFIRScience. It should help you with downloading the code from your repository. Then you make your changes, add your modules, commit that code back up to your repository, create a pull request, and then once a pull request has been created, then your submission is complete. Good luck to everyone. I hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.